Let's start the 1620 turn of Schoengrabern. We will again pick it up with the French. The French have more reinforcements arriving this turn. To the east, we have Suchet and the 17th and 34th Regiments of the 5th Corps. To the west, Legrand with the 26th and 75th Regiments of the 4th Corps. And then, of course, we have the cavalry, Sebastiani's cavalry, that did not arrive the last turn. So we'll roll some dice to see if we can get these guys to enter. First Suchet, no good. Both of them roll over a 1, so neither regiment arrives. We'll roll for Legrand, 2-1, so Legrand, both regiments will arrive this turn. And each of those cavalry regiments also needs to roll. They have both need a 2, and we roll a 1 and a 2, so both cavalry regiments can arrive. So we'll put Suchet's men back on the turn record track for the next turn, 1640, where they'll have to roll a 2 in order to enter. Legrand actually enters a little further west there, west of those trees, and Sebastiani will actually enter on the road. Meanwhile, we have the Grenadiers trying to enter into the vineyard. So no charges, we'll move right to movement. I'm going to leave the Grenadiers currently in skirmish order here, trying to engage there, so we have these two Grenadiers. They cross the ford, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to keep these guys in general order with the intention of meleeing and either hurting or driving back the Russians in front of them. Now we'll enter Suchet's men. No, excuse me, that's Legrand there to the west. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll put Legrand there with the 75th. Sebastiani and Murat's aide are both going to arrive. Cavalry doesn't have a lot to do right now, so I think we will have them swing around to the west. We have another troop that will be arriving, so we'll wait for them and maybe send them to the east. We'll arrive 1, 7 movement points, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we'll put both cavalry regiments out on the west there. Murat's aide, we will just march into the town here. He's going to size up the situation. I think eventually we're going to let him run with the remaining cavalry that comes. Now we have left here some more Grenadiers in skirmish order. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they'll get into contact with something there. They don't know what it is. There we have our movement phase completed. that leaves us with our fire phases. Always clear when the counters are in full view. So we will start with obviously the Russian defensive fire phase. We'll take our 1-to-1 attacks here because we like that rule. Roll some dice. Very nice at 65. Don't even have to bother looking at anything for that. We know that's a casualty. Move to the next one. And another. Lots of low numbers. And one more throw of the dice leaves us with no more casualties. So we move to the French offensive fire phase. We'll start with those artillery pieces. We know we want to keep some fire on those guys. So we'll fire at each of those. And low numbers means just some noise, no casualties. Now we have French skirmishers here, which is, I believe, 7.5 to 12. And that gives us a 1-to-2 attack, so we rolled a 61, but that's too low. Roll some more dice here. What are these guys in column? They are 7, so 7 plus these skirmishers. That's 3 increments. So it's about a 1-to-1 attack. We roll a 61, which is another casualty on those Russian Gursky or Jaegers. Which does cause a morale check. They're at 25. The morale dice were at 23. So that is disorder. And we'll disorder straight up the road there. And finally we'll fire, well not finally, we'll fire the grenadiers several more times here. Throw some dice all low, so no more casualties inflicted. That'll bring us into our melee phase. So we will conduct one melee here. Those grenadiers are going to try to hit whatever is in that hex. So we can see that they are Jaegers, which means they are allowed to retreat before combat. So we will retreat them 2, 3 for the stream, and another 2 for the vineyard. And the grenadiers will advance. We will mark those Jaegers with a marker to make sure we remember they cannot move next turn since they retreated more than twice their movement. And those are all the melees we have. We have no non-good order French units, so no rally, no route movement. Cavalry is all good, so we'll move to the coalition half of the turn. So we'll switch to the north, looking south from the coalition perspective. You need to shore up that left side there. We need to rally that disordered unit for sure. So we don't have any charges. We have some Cossacks lying around somewhere. The rest of our cavalry is pretty far in the rear. We're just going to leave them there for a little while. Now we're going to move. I think we're going to move that leader up to that disordered unit. We're going to move that to sort of unit back one. We would like to cover that forward, so we'll move that guy there. 2, 4, we'll move those guys there. I think we'll move to, oops, sorry, that's out of the picture. We have this guy here, we will move a little to the east. Otherwise we'll leave everybody where they are. And we know we have a large group of cavalry coming along here, but we have the benefit of all that vineyard to protect our flank. So we're going to leave those guys for the short term. Our Cossacks are pretty able to move about as they wish, so let's move on to the defensive fire phase. So we have Grenadiers still facing some foes they don't know what they're seeing, as well as these skirmishers. So let's just throw some dice. That's a pretty good number. We just threw a 66 on that attack, so we know something got hit there. And when you know it, it's a blank. So now they know there's nothing in front of them. We'll throw one more. Well, that's not too bad. I believe that's 5 increments. That should be a 1-to-1 attack. And that's going to cause a loss on some Cossacks. Probably should have retreated those guys out of the way, huh? See, when you're narrating, you kind of forget where your own guys are. So Cossacks have to check morale. There were 34. We threw a morale dice of 45, so they do pass. Oh, and because they were hit, they get to remove the marker. So now let's move to offensive fire. Cossacks can't shoot anything. We'll take our 2 1-to-1 attacks there. Pretty good die roll. We will inflict a casualty, I believe, on those Grenadiers. And one more roll. No more casualties. Well, we have those Cossacks. Guess in theory they could, well, can they? No, we're going to say that's a terrible idea. They're in the vineyard, they're in general order, they can only use a small number of their increments. Technically, Cossacks aren't allowed to charge infantry in good order in this game, so maybe it stands to reason that they can't melee. So, no melees. We'll move on to rally. We want to try to rally that guy right there, as well as our hussars that are still routed back there. So we'll roll a 52. I believe with the leader, they will easily pass and recover their morale. We'll want more. So they're routed. Yikes. So they finally recover at Grund. These are the Austrian hussars with Nostitz. So they recover, and they're now exhausted. So they will need a full turn to recover their readiness. No one in bad order, so no routes. And that will conclude the turn. A little bit of French movement. Some delay in their reinforcement arrival. But basically they're getting themselves into the vineyard in the front, and then on the west they're going to try to flank the Russians. So now we'll move on to the 1640 turn.